every hall, it has to be discussed. But then we need to ask ourselves the tough questions. And that's what I like about this conference, where we are going to really, ministers, hold them accountable, make them earn their paycheck, and demand more of the ministers and also of our private sector. I'm so in love with the African Unity Chamber, and everybody say, why you love the chamber so much? Because you guys are all about money. Yes, it's about money. Everybody here, it's about money. Because I believe at the end of the day, if we are going to see an African and all industry and the power sector that works well, we have to take those values. Free market capitalism is still the best path to prosperity, and I don't apologize for it, and we should never be ashamed for putting market-driven policies to make sure that we can move this industry forward because it is right. When we look at today and we move on regulations or legislations, we got to make sure that it is job-friendly. We got to make sure that it targets the right kind of growth that we want in the industry. It is not the biggest point in our continent's exploration history. When we have Uganda finding oil at the same time with Ghana, but at the end of the day, Ghana is producing and then Uganda is not producing. We need to step up our game, we need to negotiate better, we need to do better, and we need to drive it up because we need to get that oil out of the ground and our people need to benefit from it and we need to grow the industry. That's right. And I know it's going to be tough, me talking like this and saying we need to drill more and we need to do this. But some of the ministers here love drill, baby, drill more than I do. Which one of them calls himself drill or drop baby. So I think we need to do more. And and I think we are still in that position where we don't want to discuss the tough issues. We don't want to step out of the comfort zone. And I encourage you in this conference to step out of the comfort zone. Demand better fiscal policies. Demand better local content policies. And yes, God damn it, in 2019, demand more women in leadership in the oil and gas industry. That is right. That is what we need to do. I'll tell you a story about getting women more in the industry. You turn around, look at offshore oil rigs, and we got to go about breaking the gas ceiling. No longer the glass ceiling, that's important, but we got to look at that gas ceiling. Women on oil rigs, women shaping our continent, women providing leadership, whether it comes into power or whether it comes to changing how we are going to manage or govern our resources. It's nothing strange about it. It's still African. It doesn't make us less African not embracing this. It doesn't make us less African not looking and saying and looking at an Elizabeth Rogo. Trained so well from Weatherford. Works in those rigs and puts up a strong engineering firm. But every day has to be told that you're not good enough. When she was right up there doing that. It's different when we look at Queen. And it's different when we look at Zanele, trying to look at rural areas and say we're going to create more energy and develop that. How dare you not look at 50 to 60% of an African population and still leave them in the industry that shapes us? Our oil industry is better than that. We can do better. And yes, in 2019, going 2020, we need to step up our game. We have a big issue, and I think this week we're going to hear a lot about LNG and gas and everything. We're so proud this year to have a big delegation from Senegal. I have been lucky to visit this country. I was lucky to go into the Gorée Islands, one of the most moving places that moved me as a human being and as a person. And I left there, I always talk about Africa's story, how we've moved from slave ships to championships. Senegal represents that. The Americans talk about having freedom gas. I think Senegal brings champion gas. And that is what is going to really see those championship gas in what they've been able to do to get cross-border unitization done better and faster than most African countries. Championship gas, when you look at being able to look at in your petroleum legislation that moves and drives business and encourages investment and everything. Championship gas, when you look at Senegal that moves forward and creates a fast track and a one-stop shop to really train new business, creating a better business environment to really drive things and move it. Championship gas. Those championship guys that we look around that says we are going to have a better energy mix. I was so lucky to sit with the minister in his office, and he had a good conversation with me about Senegal's energy mix when I was in Dakar. Championship gas. Championship gas with a plan that talks about emergence 2035, that talks about making Senegal an emerging country and driving Senegal up to become that country that has a full-blown energy mix with petrochemicals, urea, ammonia, and providing power in rural communities and every place. Championship gas. That gas that works for Africa. That gas that generates industry. That gas that really exports as much gas as you can, but also use that gas to power Africa and build Africa. That's a good photo. You better take it well. Championship gas. But that championship gas that comes, that we say, as much as we look around Africa, it is right to look to build our infrastructure. It is right to get it right. And I hope in the next 3 days, we have the best conversations and really do as much as we can to develop it. Please network with each other, develop more. If you still have some money left and some change left, bring it to the chamber. We love your money, and we're proud to take your money. That's what the chamber does. Thank you so much, and it's an honor to be here. I'll bring to the stage somebody who has been a true Pan-Africanist, somebody who has really kept the African flag going, never say no to Africa. You call him late at night, and he say, well, they need you in Nigeria. You say, okay, I'll go. They need you in Somalia. You say, I'll go. But every day, every night, he walks around his country. This minister thinks about how do I empower my people, and how do I change my people, and how do I improve the oil and gas community. I've seen him take shots from both sides. I've seen him being accused of being too pro-industry, and I've seen him being accused of being too much anti-industry. So when they hit you from both sides, you're doing something wrong. Something right, I guess. It's an honor, and it's my pleasure to bring on the stage His Excellency Gabriel Mbagao Biang Lima from Equatorial Guinea. I think we need to buy you new shoes.
I'll tell the story right now. Thank you, Jay.
Where take my book?
Give me. I got my book. His Excellency Mohamed Mactar Cisse, Minister of Petroleum, of Energy of Senegal, representing His Excellency Macky Sall, the President of Senegal. His Excellency Fahad Sanjang, Minister of Energy of Petroleum of Gambia. His Excellency Abdirashid Mohamed Ahmed, Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources of Somalia. His Excellency Abdisari Mohamed Ahmed, Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources of Somalia. I already said that. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to start congratulating one more time to Guillaume for organizing this Africa Oil and Power. At the same time, thank you. I also want to congratulate one more time to NG Ajuk for being here, for his book, for this gift he just gave to me. But especially, I am very grateful to be here. I could never miss this photo. Okay, that's not in my presentation, eh? So I was saying that I'm extremely happy to be here. I did arrive this morning, and like some of you who are frequent flyers will know what it is to be a victim of airlines, and you have to talk with a lot of people, regarding who have different clothes. And I did discover something today in South Africa. They all have very small feet. So we could not find a shoes for me. This again proved that this conference is actually one of the best conferences, because you could never see a lot of those conferences a minister speaking with the sneakers. But I am also very happy to be at this event for one special reason. Okay, that's more louder now. Okay. Again, that's not in my presentation. Again, the reason was that actually 1 month ago, I did cancel my presence to be at this conference. I did let NG Ajuk know about it. I talked with my staff. And the reason was because there was some incidents that happened in this country. And again, a lot of my colleagues, security told me, maybe Excellency, maybe you should skip it. Okay, the music is going on. But I did decide have come, eh? Okay. Can I go on? I have no microphone here. Okay, I think I stopped now. I wasn't going to be dancing, so you hold you're waiting. Now, the reason is very simple. Before I was leaving my dear and safe country, Equatorial Guinea, I was a little bit afraid. I did say goodbye to my wife, to my children. I checked my will again. They resigned it. There were a lot of visitors at the airport giving me farewell, giving me advices. But I did arrive this morning, again, looking right and left, seeing something was going to happen. But you come to the final conclusion that nothing is going to happen. I did decide to come to South Africa because sometimes by what other people say, and sometimes the action of some individuals have never, and they should never represent the entire country and a lot of people. I did also decide to come because this is the same feeling that a lot of people have when I do invite them to come to Equatorial Guinea. They say, oh, I heard about that country. It's very dangerous. You have to be very careful. You can have malaria. But the brave one decide, no, I will go. And when they arrive to Equatorial Guinea, they find that's not really like they had portrayed there. So I do perfectly understand my brothers and sisters of South Africa. When you have incidents and people portray like everybody in the entire country is like that. And this is why I'm here, mainly also to support Africa Oil and Power, but mainly to support my brothers and sisters of South Africa. Now, the key discussions that I will be focusing today, other than welcoming a very important country that is going to become very important for our continent, this is Senegal, is to discuss about something that is very important by me. And I say this because everybody knows that I'm a minister who speaks his mind. The phrase is very simple. Oil and gas is good for Africa. Now, I will repeat it again. Oil and gas is good for Africa. And now my reasons are very simple. Where is the continent where we are having massive discovery of oil and gas? It's in Africa. Where is the continent that needs serious development because it has been behind because of a lot of action that have nothing to do with the continent? It's in Africa. Where is the continent that clearly does not have the infrastructure to be able to do the transition? You're talking about electric cars. I have to tell you, some countries, the electric cars, I don't think they will last 2 days. Why? Because the infrastructure is not there. Now, the other key reason, and this is the more important one, where is the continent less responsible of pollution, more responsible or even this global warming, is the African continent. But now they want us to do the transition immediately like everybody else. I'm going to give them a deal. I did mention it when I was in Abu Dhabi. Why don't we do the following? Developing countries in Africa, we keep developing the fossil fuels, and all the developed countries, they stop it. We will promise that we'll deliver all the resources to them. Let's see what they're going to say. They have chance to develop their country through the resources, but nobody is going to stop it. So why you're going to ask a country like Senegal, Mozambique, Equatorial Guinea, do not develop your resources, do solar panel, do the other one. Why are you going to do that? Because the cheapest one for a development is oil and gas. Little Equatorial Guinea, in a phase of 15 years, have become one of the more highest invested in infrastructure. Everybody who comes to Malabo, they get amazed what we have done it. We didn't do it with the World Bank. We didn't do it with the IMF. We didn't do it even with the bankers. We did it with our money coming from the oil and gas. So that's the solution. Now, I want to be very clear. I am realistic, and I recognize that global warming is real. There is a global weather change, climate change that is affecting everybody, especially the African continent. So I'm not saying that we should not do anything, but if we want to reduce the consumption of fossil fuel, I think we should think about alternative. But to tell Africans, do not develop your resources, I think that's very unfair. What they can do, they can say, we should do a transition period, longer than any other developed country, to make sure that the African can take advantage of these resources, and then from there do the transition once the infrastructure is there. Now, I am going to tell you a truth that very few of you and very few people know about it. The real responsible of global warming on climate change. Everybody knows about it, but nobody talks about it. It's not the oil producer, it's not the coal producer, it's not the agriculture producer, it's the consumers. It is the consumer who are not changing their behavior. It is the consumer who wants to have 3-4 cars. They want to have plastic bags. Who want to that? Those are the ones who are actually driving the production, the use of fossil fuel. I'll tell you this an example. I use it a lot, and some people like it, some people don't like it. It's the war against drugs. If you go to the United States and you ask who is responsible, the producer or the consumer, in the United States they will say it's the producers. We need to go against them. But if you go to Holland and you ask the same question to the Netherlands, they will say it's not the fault of the producer. The consumers are the ones that we need to focus. So if we change our behavior, that's what is going to be changing all this climate change on the demand that we have of resources. Why? Because our producers, we are providing a demand. Because they are consuming more and more every year. China, Europe, United States, they want more cars. They want more plastic. They want more cars, houses. No one house, 2 free houses. So clearly, there is a great responsibility of the consumers. And you cannot blame the oil and gas industry. Because what very few people know, the agriculture and the forestry industry pollute and have been more contributed than the oil and gas. And you can ask any scientist and they will tell you that that's true. The manure of the cows actually pollute more than my oil. So, how to fix this problem? Again, you have to teach the consumers. You used to remember when we have electricity problem, what you used to be recommended? Turn the lights off. Don't drive with free cars. If that consumer behavior change, we definitely will be able to do an impact. But what is happening? What is happening is that very nice people are giving big speeches in New York, in Europe, but when they leave from their speech, they go back to their house. They turn their iPad, they turn the television, they leave the heater on, they go driving with the car rather than take the municipal bus, they take cars. Now, but when they finish, they blame the producers. Now, this is very important because I keep and I will always defend the same thing. Oil and gas can change a country. And Equatorial Guinea has been a country that has been changed thanks to oil and gas, and we will never apologize to anybody because of that. Now, clearly, there is very important issues that we also need to discuss, is how these African countries are going to be developing. I encourage and I congratulate my brother from Senegal, my brother from Mozambique, because they already have achieved FID. But one will ask the question, why it took them so long? You will always blame the government. It's always us. It's not the government. It's the bankers, it's the operators. They want the good deal. At the end, it's the governments who ask we have to compromise and allow it to do it. For the sake of the economy, for the sake of the... But you have to remember, it's not always the government. Now we have Senegal. We have Mozambique. They are ready. But there is a key question that needs to be remembered. Those countries need to be developed. You can't just think about building big FPSO and floating LNG and export everything. Something needs to build in the country. Infrastructure, the indirect responsibility need to come. And that's the responsibility of the operator, the bankers, and all of them involved. The other key things that as a message that I wanted to bring to my brother from Senegal and my brothers from Mozambique, it's something that we are doing now. Think about your market. The gas that we are exporting out, that Equatorial Guinea exported to Japan, to Korea, to Brazil, we did it. We make a lot of money from that. But then we realized that we also need that resource. So we always have to keep an amount of that resource for us, for electricity, for petrochemical, from the rest. So companies do not have to lock completely the contracts, not allowing them to be able to use the resource, because the future of resource in Africa is going to be gas. So we need a lot of gas, and the resources that Senegal and Mozambique have right now, like Egypt, actually can fuel the entire African continent. Now, what they will say, there is no market in Africa. The market is in Japan, in Korea. We are in South Africa. South Africa needs a lot of gas. Morocco is developing the gas resource too. And there is bigger and growing demand even in Nigeria. So the market is there. But the biggest problem to every single African country is what I mentioned before. We do not have the infrastructure to receive our LNG. I cannot send one single ship of LNG to any single African country. Why? Because there is not a regasification plant of that size. I can send it to Japan, to Italy, to Spain, to Portugal, but I cannot send it to my own African country. That's why the development of small-scale LNG, it's important for the development of our continent. I did not come here to talk about South Africa, nor Senegal, nor Mozambique. I'm here to represent Equatorial Guinea. That's what I'm paid for. And I want to say that this year has been a very special year for us. We have endeavored to make sure that everybody knows about our country for 1 year. And clearly, what we are planning to do for next year, it is the 2020 investment year. Why? Because once you have proved that you have the resource, once you have proved that you have the potential, what you have to do is develop it. You need to go into developing to create jobs. Because the future of any economy in Africa is creating jobs. It's the buildings of refineries. It's the building of ammoniac plants. It's the building of infrastructure that is going to benefit our industry, because it's about time. This is why next year we're going to be focusing on the investment in Equatorial Guinea. We will do 2 conferences in the city of Malabo that many of you know, but at the same time we will do 4 roadshows depending on the need. One will be done in the United States, another one in Russia, China, the UK, and in the Middle East, in Abu Dhabi. Now, clearly, I want to conclude this one more time, congratulating a very important player that will become very important in the coming years. This is the government of Senegal, also the government of Mozambique. But I want to conclude with one phrase. This is a phrase by a very famous philosopher, Plato, that says like this: never disencourage anyone who continuously make progress, no matter how slow. This goes one more time to Senegal, to Mozambique. Congratulate you what they have done. It doesn't matter the pace. The important thing is that you get it done. With this, I want to thank one more time everybody who is here, everybody who understands my problem with the sneakers and don't bother about it. And one more time, NJ, AOP, congratulations one more time for this event, and I will continue coming. With this, thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for such a spirited defense of the oil and gas industry. When you were, as you go find your shoes, and when he was on stage, I was checking my Twitter feed, and someone said, Equatorial Guinea minister says women Chanel bags cause climate change. So if you have Chanel bags and you consumers, probably you should be protesting right now. His Excellency Macky Sall, President of Senegal, was supposed to be here today. Due to scheduling conflicts, he could not be here. But we have a heavy hitter. His Excellency Mamadou Makhtar Cissé, the Minister of Energy of Senegal. He could not have been minister at the right time. It always takes a special moment in history when sometimes you are called on to serve your nation. And that call to serve your nation, you are always ready, and you say, send me. Mr. Minister, well, he comes from the beautiful profession. He's a lawyer in the background, so you know he's smart. But at the right time, he was put when you had difficulties in the customs, regulations, and the directorate in Senegal. You had this young man went in there, a system that was not working. It was making losses every time in Senegal. And they got a guy who came in there and he turned it around. Went from losses to profit. And everybody was very, very happy when you look at state budgets in 2017 and you had some of the biggest turnaround and profits coming out of customs. And guys, for anybody who is operating, or any operators here, you know customs in Africa, they are some tough places to deal with. So this minister is tough. If you got to deal with the guys at customs, clean it up and make it profitable. So we thank God for this minister. Mr. Minister, we thank you for being here. Thank you so much. The minister then went on to, it looks like, I think the president of Senegal didn't like him. President now decides that, what am I going to do with you? You got these custom things fixed, we're making money. And then he said, well, I'm going to send you to Senegal. They're, you know, Mr. Tough Guy. And he went right there, Mr. Tough Guy, and he turned the power sector around. You go to Senegal, whether it's rural electrification, whether it is coming in there, you found that energy mix. Being able to attract investment from different sources. Making sure the power sector works. Lights are on in Dakar. All the industries happening, they depend on it. And being that strong horn and standing in there defending power producers, defending electric producers, and making sure that consumers get everything that they deserve became his job. Because you know why that job is so tough? We get to work with power producers. When there is no light, everybody knows. And you say, who is that? You know, where is that guy? And right now, the right time of history, he's put in making sure that Senegal's industry, the gas, the power, and the oil meets that challenge for Senegal. Mr. Minister, we thank you for being here. And we welcome you right now to the stage to present your address to Africa Oil and Power, to the investors, to your colleagues. Minister Cissé, come on up. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I arrived yesterday with my shoes. Good. Honorable Minister.